Have you ever talked to one of your smart devices and had that little thought in the back of your head, who is actually listening to this? Well, today we're diving into a really powerful alternative that puts you right back in the driver's seat. It's called offline voice recognition, and it's a way to get all the cool conveniences of voice commands, but without shipping your private data all over the internet. So let's break it down. On one side, you have cloud AI. This is probably what you're used to, those assistants that have to be connected to the internet, sending your voice out to some big server somewhere. But on the other side, you've got offline AI. This is where all the magic happens right there on your device. What does that mean for you? Well, way better privacy and much faster responses. But like anything, it comes with its own set of trade-offs. We're going to get into exactly what that offline AI option is all about.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the real problem with cloud-based systems. Then, we'll introduce the offline solution. After that, we'll look at the tools you'd actually need to build one yourself, walk through how it works step by step, explore some really cool things you can do with it, and then, finally, take a little peek into the future.
Okay, so let's dig into that first part. What is the hidden cost of all those super convenient, always connected voice assistants we use every day? You know, the core issue really boils down to one word: dependency. To understand what you're saying, your device has to record your voice, send it off to a giant data center, probably thousands of miles away, and then wait for a response to come back. This whole round-trip journey creates two big problems. One is latency, that annoying delay you sometimes get, and the other, arguably bigger one, is privacy. Your voice data is now sitting on someone else's server. So, if the cloud is what's causing these problems, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us right to a much more private solution: offline speech recognition. And here it is. The definition is actually super simple. Offline speech recognition is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. The entire process, listening to you, understanding you, and turning your speech into text, it all happens right there, on your device. Nothing gets sent out, no internet connection needed. It's totally self-contained. And this is where it gets really good. This is the payoff. First off, your privacy is massively enhanced because your voice literally never leaves your device. Second, the responses are almost instant. There's no lag waiting for a server in another country to reply. Third, and this is a huge one, it works even if your internet is down. And finally, you just have so much more control over the whole system. Now, this all sounds great, right? But you're probably wondering, how do you actually build something like this? You might be surprised that with just a few open source tools, it's more within reach than you might think. So let's open up the Builder's Toolkit. So here are the 4 main ingredients for our little private system. We start with Python, that super versatile programming language that's going to tie everything together. Then you've got the real star of the show, Vosk. That's the open source engine that does the heavy lifting of converting audio to text. To give the system its ears, we use a library called PyAudio, which lets us grab input from a microphone. And finally, there's JSON, which helps us organize the text that comes out so it's clean and easy to use. Okay, we've got our tools. Now let's check out the 4-step blueprint that shows exactly how they all work together to turn your spoken words into digital text right there on your own machine. You can almost think of it like a little assembly line. Step 1, the microphone picks up your voice. Step 2, that raw audio gets cleaned up and prepped. Step 3, the Vosk model, which is just sitting there on your device, analyzes the sound and figures out what you said. And boom, step 4, you get a clean text output ready for whatever you want to do with it. And the craziest part? All of this happens in a fraction of a second. All right, so we know how it works, but what can you do with it? Let's talk about some real-world applications. And, let's also be honest about some of the challenges that still exist. So where does this get useful? Well, just imagine this for a second. A smart home where you can still turn on the lights or adjust the thermostat, even when your internet is completely out. Or think about a transcription tool for a really sensitive business meeting, one that can guarantee the conversation stays 100% confidential because it's all being processed locally. These aren't just far-off ideas. These are practical things you can do with this tech today. Of course, it's not perfect. There are definitely some trade-offs. This table kind of lays out the 3 main challenges. First, the models that do the recognition can be pretty big, so they'll take up some storage space on your device. Second, the vocabulary might not be as huge as a giant cloud service, so it could sometimes struggle with really unusual words or thick accents. And third, you do need a device with a decent amount of processing power to run it smoothly. These are real engineering challenges, but for a lot of people, they are definitely not deal breakers. But here's the thing about those challenges. They're real.
But this technology is moving so fast. So what's just around the corner in the world of offline voice control?
The future here looks really, really bright. Developers are constantly working on adding support for more and more languages, making these tools accessible to everyone around the globe. There's also a big push to integrate them with actual smart assistant functions, so you can not just transcribe words, but actually get things done. And finally, there are constant optimizations going on to make the models smaller, faster, and more efficient, which means the hardware you need to run them keeps getting less demanding. And all of this leaves us with one final, really important question. As these local, offline systems get more and more powerful and easier to use, you have to wonder, is the future of how we talk to our technology found not in some distant corporate data center, but right here, inside the devices that we actually own and control? The answer to that could completely change our relationship with tech and our own data.